Many marked Napster's creation as the day music was set free to the public, offering a revolutionary platform to consumers where one can exchange and openly download music at no financial cost. Growing exponentially, piracy has become much more since its humble beginning of millions to nearly 13 billion a year in losses for the music industry alone, taking away tens of thousands of jobs in the US. As of January 2015, new laws have been set in place to better address the growing issue of unaccountability and unawareness, as well as reprehend those who hopefully reduce the availability of pirated content.
While looking at our hypothesis, we will be using two specific theories to further understand this consuming behavior. The first one being selective learning theory, because we think that this will correlate with a lack of awareness. The second one is moral intensity theory, because we think that this will shed light on consumers' perceptions of this being a morally okay act. During the first phase of this process, we spoke to our peers and found it interesting that no one was hesitant to reveal their pirating behavior, even though it is well known to be illegal. Therefore, due to the illegality, we have chosen to keep the identity of their interviewees anonymous.
First question we have is, do you download or illegally stream any content?
Yeah, I do on a regular basis. I try to torrent a lot of movies and music.
Now, have you ever downloaded textbooks, for example, or software?
Yeah. Essentially, whenever I can find free online, I try my best to find it.
Okay, what type of sites, or do you go to the same sources to find your movies or your TV shows, for example?
Yeah, when I'm looking for movies and TV shows, I go to one particular site.
Okay.
And when I'm looking at like books, for example, I try to find the most popular sites so I know it's safe and popular.
So you kind of rely on those ones. Now, is there ever a time where you maybe necessarily can't find the content on these main sites and you go somewhere else that may not be as safe?
I try to stick with one site just because I'm pretty skeptical with viruses and privacy issues, so I want to use a particular site that I know that I can trust and be able to download their content safely.
Now, how old were you when you first started downloading content?
I would say I was about 15 years old, so around middle school, mostly because my friends were aware of it and they told me which sites to download from. So definitely my friends impacted my...
Have you ever contributed to uploading content online for others?
No, I haven't. I've only downloaded content.
Do you know any of the legal or consequences that come as a result of the downloading that you do say you do?
I don't.
Now, do you feel that downloading is a victimless crime?
I do feel like downloading content affects a lot of people, but I feel like if I wasn't able to find it online, I probably wouldn't have paid for it in the first place. So it doesn't really affect, in my situation, the impact on others. I feel like if I weren't pirating their content and talking about it on social media and asking other people to view it with me as well, like my friends, I feel like it wouldn't have like that buzz around the community, especially with some people pirating content. They're talking a lot more with their friends, and it kind of makes it viral in a sense. So in a way, I feel like we are contributing to them in different contexts.
First question I have for you is, what type of content do you download?
Music, videos, and some games.
And some games now, is it very based on artists? Some artists you pay for, some you don't? or is it pretty well everything?
I download music based off of wanting a sample of what an artist puts out, and then if I do like it, then I will make the purchase of an album or a song.
Okay.
But at first step, I'll download the album, and if I don't feel like it's worth the purchase, then I will not make the purchase.
Okay. Now, do you remember how old you were when you first made a download? Let me take this back to like a LimeWire type of days.
Yeah, probably about 10 or 11 years old.
And did you know what you were doing at the time?
More music downloads.
Okay. Now, a second question I have for you is what type of content do you pay for? So you said you do pay for albums on occasion. Anything like Netflix, or do you download your textbooks, paying for those?
I do pay for Netflix to watch movies, but I also do stream movies off of the internet,
Okay.
Which is, I guess, also a form of pirating.
Now, what are the reasons that you pay for certain content but not others? So, for example, the Netflix, I'm assuming, based on the streaming.
More for quality. If you're downloading different stuff and you're not paying for it, the quality could be different. Say a movie could be recorded in a movie theater off of a cell phone camera.
Yeah, we've all seen the shaky cams.
Correct. So I will watch Netflix knowing that it's a good quality movie or TV show that I can watch.
Okay. Now, is it also ones that you can't access, like you don't want to wait for it necessarily, so a new movie comes out, you want to watch it in good quality, but it's not going to be out in good quality for who knows how many months. So in that case, would you download it or stream it instead of waiting for it to pay for the high quality version?
So if I feel like a movie comes out in the theater and it deserves the viewing in a theater, then I will go and see it. But if it's a movie that, say, I don't feel like I would want to go see in the theater, but it's a movie that may interest me, I'll watch it that way.
Okay.
But if it's not of interest, then why pay for it when I can stream it for free?
That's true. Yeah, a lot of times it's a bit of a guessing to see if you're going to like it or not. So rather than spending the 10, 20, however much it is going to be for the movies, usually you kind of end up streaming it. Seems like that's the way it's going.
Correct.
Now, how often do you download content? So this is the movies, music.
A fair bit. I'm more of a music downloader, but I do download the odd game or movie, but more music, albums or singles.
And how often do you do that downloading? Is it a weekly, daily?
Probably a weekly thing.
Weekly? Okay. Now, have you ever contributed to pirated content? So buying an album and then either sharing it with friends, or ripping it off of the CD and then sharing it with the internet?
So if I do download music, it automatically gets seeded back onto the internet. So I'm indirectly contributing to it, but directly, no. I've never put something up there for people to.
It's never been the originator, I guess, of the downloaded or pirated software. You know the consequences surrounding downloading pirated content?
Vaguely.
Do you find it immoral in doing that downloading?
No.
All right. First question we have is, what type of content do you download?
Movies, music, I think that's the usual, but also just kind of everything.
Textbooks, anything like that?
Textbooks, definitely, yeah, I'll try to find them at the beginning of the school year for sure. Just regular books, ebooks, comics.
Software, anything
definitely
like that?
software, yep.
Okay. Now, do you ever, or how often do you do this sort of downloading?
On a regular basis, I'd say. Once a
Weekly,
week,
daily?
yeah.
Okay. Have you ever contributed to pirated content? So in the sense that you're doing the uploading?
Once a little bit, but not very much. Just some songs that were very obscure and hard to find in other languages. I used to upload to LimeWire a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just a few. Yeah, if you download, usually the copyright holders or your internet service provider aren't going to go after you as much as if you were a major uploader, but there really is kind of like a community around pirating. Like you can see in some of the websites like the Pirates Bay and things like that, there's major uploaders who upload just tons of content. Every time a movie comes out, they'll have it. So there's this interesting culture around it. Yeah, but as for me, just a few songs once a long time ago.
Okay. Now you touched upon the consequences. Are you familiar with any of the kind of fines or things that come as a result of the people who do these like very intense amounts of uploading?
Not so much for that, but in terms of now in Canada, like the new Notice and Notice thing came out in January, and so your ISP can send you like these notices if they find you're downloading content, and it's almost like kind of a threat, not really, but yeah, the content owners can technically sue you if they wish to. So.
Is there any content that you download explicitly because you can't find it in Canada or North America?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, a lot of the time, because I do watch a lot of foreign movies and I listen to a lot of foreign music, and that's something you could never buy here.
Do you feel downloading is a victimless crime?
Somewhat. It depends, yes and no. I mean, in a sense, yes, I know that people are losing money and that, you know, they did put work into that, into producing that content, but at the same time, there's kind of the aspect where if I download an ebook, for example, it's not like I would have gone to the store and bought the book. I would have gone to the library and got it for free, but it's just more convenient to download it. So it's really another gray area. I think this whole issue is really not black and white.
Now, how old were you when you first started downloading content?
I was really young, actually. I was like 4 or 5 years old, and yeah, I was in kindergarten. Actually, I had a cousin who, he was a teenager at the time, and he didn't have internet at home, so he would come to my house, and my parents would let him use the computer and whatever, and he installed Napster on it, and he would download music. So he kind of showed me how to do it, and I was really young, and I would just download like Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys and whatever.
You know, did you know what you were doing at the time? Again, you were so young. Did you realize what you were doing in that you were, you know, taking this content from those artists that you mentioned?
I somewhat knew, but I don't think I knew the full weight of it, but I do remember when Napster shut down, and I was, again, very little, and I was just kind of like, oh, this isn't working anymore, like, why isn't it working anymore? And I kind of asked some of my family members and mentioned it to them, and they told me about the whole issue where Napster got shut down and all of that, so I did kind of understand that it was illegal, but, you know, at that age, it doesn't seem like a big deal, I guess.
Now, do you feel that downloading is socially acceptable or even morally acceptable?
I would say it's definitely socially acceptable. Like everybody does it. I don't think I know a single person who doesn't, or at least stream shows or things like that. So I think it's very socially acceptable. As for morally, it's kind of a gray area, I would say.
I heard you on the wireless back in 52, lying awake intently tuning in on you. If I was young, it didn't stop you coming through.
Through our research and during our interviews, it had become clear to us that there is a core culture within pirating, and at the center of this culture are the uploaders, who fundamentally believe that any and all content should be free and readily available to all. Now, in relation to the selective learning theory, the closer in proximity to the core, the more aware individuals were of the potential consequences of piracy. On the other hand, individuals that occasionally downloaded further away from the core did not have a high awareness of the consequences, and we can presumably attribute this to them purposefully avoiding information on how their actions have repercussions on others and as well as on themselves. In accordance with the moral intensity theory, there seems to be a disconnect in society between pirating and stealing. They are simply not being viewed synonymously. This has led us to learn that is why, regardless of the individual's proximity to the act of pirating, an individual's perception of morality does not change.